Hello, and welcome to CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Ravi Shankar. I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for Denodo. I am with Juan Riojas with Rackspace Technology, and we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to Juan, who is the CDO at Rackspace Technology. Juan, very nice to meet you.
Likewise, Ravi. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So Juan, let's start a little bit about your background for our viewers. Can you give a little bit about your current position as well as the previous positions?
Sure, absolutely. So my current position is I'm the Chief Data Officer for Rackspace Technologies, based out of San Antonio. I've been in this role now for 15 months, and it's been an amazing transformation in 15 months. In between, we had an IPO, which is absolutely brilliant to go through. Great experience. And if I can give you a little bit of background on my career, prior to coming to Rackspace, I set up the inaugural data office for Informatica, which was a fantastic experience to really get that exposure and just being able to be associated with that company. But prior to that, I would say my career is a tale of two stories, and it was shaped by one book for economics. My first half of my career was in supply chain planning. So I worked in logistics. I ended up working in supply chain planning and strategy for Dell. And in 2007, I read economics. It changed my world. I started looking at the world differently and getting more into the technical side, to where I went from Dell, working in analytics, to leading up and starting up the data analytics function at GoGo, which just recently got bought out by Intelsat.
Okay. All right. That's nice to hear. So for people like us in the technology space, we know what Rackspace Technology actually does. But for the other audience who do not know, can you please tell us what Rackspace does?
No, absolutely. I mean, so Rackspace, it's gone through quite a bit of a transition. Back in 2016, people knew us as a traditional managed hosting company. And now we've really transformed into a services company. And the services is our foundation. And our niche is we are the only or the top pure play multi-cloud provider in the world. Whereas we focus on modernization, applications, on data services, on security, on private cloud, public cloud. That's really the strength of where we're at. But really the name of the game, and I think that's where the industry is going, is all about multi-cloud. That's what Rackspace does.
Right. And talking about multi-cloud, I understand that Rackspace is the technology provider for the major public cloud providers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. AWS, Azure, and Google.
That's correct.
Okay, awesome, great. So now let's come back to your role within Rackspace. So you're the CDO. Could you kind of tell our audience a little bit into what your roles and responsibilities are, what part of the organization you plug in? How do you kind of sit adjacent to like the CIOs? So can you give us some idea about that?
Sure. So in my organization, I report directly into the operations organization, directly into the COO. And I think that this is a fairly unique position, as it gives you an unbiased view to the organization. But more importantly, it sets you right in the linchpin of the business, where you serve as a change agent and a catalyst. In my role and my role and responsibilities, I think it's pretty simple. It's elevate data as a strategic asset. And as niche as it may sound, or as cliche as it may sound, that truly is my world, where I have all responsibilities that stem from the planning. We have a product function from planning to architecture to the engineering side to the data enablement. I don't call it data governance, more like a data enablement side. The BI, the science, and the business operators that work in creating this feedback loop process. So we cover all gamuts of data in the company. And as we look at the journey that at least I've seen internally, it's been an exciting journey to see how a company that was really data rich but inside poor has completely flipped the switch, and we are a very data driven company now.
Okay, that's great to hear. So I would like to kind of drill a little bit into that. You mentioned that Rackspace went public during your tenure over there, and building on its leadership position in the multi-cloud technology services. So could you tell us how Rackspace data strategy supported the success that you just talked about?
Oh, absolutely. I think at the beginning, even as you're going through the IPO readiness process, I think that one of the most fundamental pieces that you can have is just data. because you had to show projections. You had to be able to go and talk with resolute figures. You want to be able to go ahead and look at the insights. There was a lot of prep that had to happen ahead of this. And our team was, I would say, fairly instrumental, from understanding our characteristics of churn to understanding what our customers wanted, where they wanted it, how they wanted it, some of the feedback, positive and negative, even to as far as branding. We were involved in all facets of the business, whereas we weren't directly the catalyst, but we were supporting each and every lever that got us set up for the IPO readiness, what I would say.
Gotcha.